this is the start, starting this fall, it'll be my 10th year. The very first day on the job, I sat down, and after all the people that walked out of the office, and at the end of the day, I sat at my desk, and I said, Lord, what have I gotten myself into? And I love it.
But we have grown on that.
Well, we're trying to make a difference. Other questions? Yes?
Have you ever felt like you wanted to give up at one point, and how did you overcome it?
Every now and then you have those days. There was a lady, Mrs. Mitchell. I was walking through the hallway, and she was our switchboard operator. At that time, working on the phone. And I thought of drag. She said, I thought, what's wrong? I said, oh, man, one of those tough days. She said, I want you to do this. Go up Highway 52 to McDowell County. And you know why you're here. And if you go to McDowell County, I had the floods and everything else up there, and I have a record of very few kids going on to college. And those that come out of McDowell County, it's something like a badge of courage. I'm from McDowell County, and I made it out of McDowell County. One of our professors in technology, doctor who's in Virgil College, Tom Blevins, Dr. Blevins from McDowell County. He says the same thing. So, yeah, you're going to have those days. So, in those days, you say, I got a friend. And then you say, Lord, I need help. There's nothing wrong. And he probably says to me, Walker, it's you again? And I said, I don't mind. Yeah. Other question, I think I saw a hand over here. Somebody? Yes, sir.
Playing athletics, doing athletics in school, how can you maintain that? Because I know it's all about time management.
Yeah. You compete, you practice to be the very best in your sport, whatever our sports, and then you say to yourself, I like this sport. If you're in college, if you like that sport well enough, you're going to stay eligible.
Can I pony up a
Yeah, go right ahead.
One of the things I do on the side is broadcast sporting events, and been doing it for many, many years. Our tennis team this year won the Western Conference, and that's amazing for us because we don't have student housing on campus, and most of those schools are much larger and better funded. And I talked to the coach at one point, and he said, you know, the amazing thing to me, and he said, our student athletes have among the very best grade point averages as a group of any group on campus. But he said, student athletes have to be very disciplined in terms of their training, athletically, really be focused. And he said, they know that life comes at them oftentimes in 5-minute spurts and 10-minute spurts. And an athlete in season knows that he's not going to get too many of those. So he'll take each one of those, and with the same discipline he uses to train and to practice and to excel on a court or on the field or in the gym or wherever it is, he applies that same principle, that same work ethic to grabbing this 10 minutes here, and instead of wasting it or frittering it away, he'll get into his schoolwork. And most of our student athletes, once they finish a class, if they've got a break, they'll type up their notes because it refreshes and reinforces in their own mind. And athletes tend to have a bond, and so what we find with a lot of our sports is our student athletes get together and they form study groups and they challenge each other to be excellent. There's an accountability on the field, and there's also an accountability in the classroom. And it's funny that the sports that we have that have the best win-loss records also have the best students, because the excellence that they aspire to in one area is something that in the competitive aspect that Dr. Walker was talking about, they sharpen each other. It's like steel sharpens steel at some point. So I don't know if I've answered your question fully, but that's just a thought.
You want to be the best at everything you can?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, sir.
He was mentioning men, but we have also a women's basketball team. I think the grade point average last season was 3.4 and above.
And they've gotten involved. They're doing Habitat for Humanity. And when I had Mercer County Schools here for an academic competition, they volunteered. And there's an element of plowing the resources God gave you back into the community. And again, it helps everybody. It makes you feel better, and there's a reason for you beyond yourself to succeed. And one of the things you'll notice about Dr. Robertson is everything that he did and excelled in is involved in plowing something that he was given at Bluefield State or by his parents back into another group. The same reason you are here right now is because this gentleman believes in teaching and he believes in making the folks whose lives he touches better and sharper.
when you give, it makes you feel good inside. It makes you feel really good.
Did you ever have like friends that made you second guess yourself about going to college?
You know, most of my friends, my true friends, I tried always surround yourself with positive thinking people. So there were some who, as my mother said, boy, I don't want you going down that corner. And every community has a corner. And so I surrounded myself with other people like myself. And I was in honor society in high school, and we just sort of competed against each other. Walker, what kind of grades you get this grade review? And he said, what did you get? What did you get? And we were almost like a special group. And we called ourselves a song called the In Crowd. We called ourselves the In Crowd. And we weren't braggadocious or anything, but we knew where we were headed. We were all inspired. We had ROTC. I was in RO. I was battalion commander. And most of the other kids, all of us, of the athletes on my campus in high school, 90% of us went on to college. 90%. Because we were some of the best. We started off, we lost just about every game in football. And then also we realized that, hey, we started practicing a little bit harder, trying a little bit harder, we could get better and better. And that translated to life. So to answer your question, you know, it depends on who you surround yourself with.
That's very important.
Other questions? See, I'm, as they say in the military, short time, that was another thing I did for 14 years. I was also in the Army. And a lot of people say, how did you do all of that? Well, it was during Vietnam, and I decided to go an extended entry, and I went basically, I said, well, I'm going to go to graduate school, got in the Reserves National Guard, and became a captain, and just thought I just worked my way all the way through. And it was an extra green check, too, at the end of the day. But it was something that I did as a tradition. My father had been in the Army, field service, and my grandfather, my great-grandfather. So when I got in the Army, I said, you don't have to do that. You're a sole surviving son. You don't have to go. And I said, no, it's a tradition. All of us wore green. Yes?
The biggest thing they're facing now, they're at that stage where they think that friends are it. And we're trying to get them to understand about surrounding yourself with positive people, as you mentioned. But they often feel like they owe that friend. That I've heard them say, well, I can help them. I can pull them up. And we're trying to get them to understand that you have to help yourself first so you can help them and be with people who are also going to help you.
And when you see you have friends that aren't on the same path as yourself, that's where you can be a leader. I had an old 1955 Mercury Montclair, and it wasn't a Monterey, it was a fancy one. Anyway, we were all loaded up in the car. We also went to church together.
Right.
And I was Catholic, and the rest of them were Baptists, and I went to their church the same way. And we didn't do some of the regular stuff. So, you're right. Surround yourself with good friends.
There was basketball, last year at the West Virginia All-Black School Sports and Academic Hall of Fame. I got to talk about Bluefield State because they won they won back-to-back National Black Collegiate Football Championships in the 1920s. The gentleman I met was named Earl Lloyd from West Virginia State. Earl Lloyd was the first black to play in the NBA, the first black to coach in the NBA. And he talked about the same type of dynamic that you're talking about right here. He said that oftentimes when he was trying to become great, he said he's about 6'8", and his mom's about 5 feet tall. And he said it was amazing that if he was out one evening, and where he shouldn't be necessarily, not necessarily doing anything wrong, but where he shouldn't be because the chance of getting into trouble or making a bad decision was increased by being where he was, that whenever he did that, his mother knew when she got home, and he would protest when she'd punish him, and she would, his middle name was Francis, and she would say, Earl Francis, you were out there last night doing such and such or somewhere. He said, Mama, I was out there, but I wasn't doing those types of things. She said, listen, don't put yourself in the picture if you don't want to be framed. And that is such a wonderful comment. There's a lot of wisdom in that comment, by the way.
They call it a moon fixer.
Yeah.
Moon fixer.
You have so much before you right now. You're young. Remember the old expression, young, gifted, and black, you can be blind too. But it makes a big difference to have a sense of pride within yourself. Just like mother told me, she said, son, you may be like that because you learn to stand tall. Stand tall. So I'm taller than Jim Nelson. In my mind, he's taller than that. When we get in the car, he's a radio, he's an announcer. I was a DJ in college, and so we speak different languages, so to speak. But you want to do some things, and then you do it, and it becomes fun to you, and you enjoy it. And that's it. Have you ever seen a chemistry professor writing formulas on the board? He starts smiling like it's fun. It's, oh, this guy's nuts. But yet, when you do something well, you feel very proud of it.
That's it.